Virtuosity is Bentley's e-commerce platform that provides an easy, affordable way to purchase practitioner licenses of Bentley software, paired with expert services, training, and mentoring.
Thank you for joining our webinar today. This session will be focusing mainly on the intelligent design and modeling using OpenRoads Designer. We will also be showing the advantages of using OpenRoads Designer over the other more commonly available software. I'm Casey, your host today for today's session. I'm a product consultant for Bentley Civil Product. Together with me is Maylen, our product expert for our civil software. She has a wealth of experience with our road, rail, and site design software products that include conducting numerous trainings and delivering professional services to our clients in this region. She was also a practicing professional before she joined Bentley. Before we start, I'd like to introduce our new licensing model called Virtuoso. Bentley, in continuous support to our civil design community, has developed a special commercial offering comprising of affordable and flexible software subscription, bundled with customized project-specific training. Virtuosity is Bentley's e-commerce platform that provides an easy way of purchasing practitioner licenses of all our products. All these product purchase is accompanied by keys, which are like tokens redeemable for hours of expert services provided in the form of mentoring and customized training throughout your subscription. All the latest software version of our product is available on our website. For every license purchase, a product expert is assigned to your team within a day or so. The product expert works closely with you to understand the team's skill level and project needs to customize the training. These experts come with rich experience working on similar projects. You will have the complete flexibility to choose to renew or add the license for the next 12 months or so, or the keys for the training as your need arise. Virtuosity works like any other e-commerce platform. You can just simply add the number of our software of your choice into the cart, make the payment. Within 24 hours, your license is delivered and you are assigned a product expert who will help you with the initial software setup and training. Within a week, you and your team can be equipped with the fundamental skills and design work can be up and running. This is our initiative to provide a quick and easy process for our users to have access to the right solution, knowledge base, and training. This way, you can be equipped with the right knowledge and solution to work on the project and just focus on delivering high quality professional outputs. All right, so right now I would like to hand the session over to Maylen, and I would like to remind the audience that as the session goes, you could type in your questions into the GoToWebinar chat section, and we will address it as soon as we are done with the technical presentation. So yeah, I would like to hand over the session to Maylen.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. You can hear me clearly?
Yes, Maylen.
Is my audio coming in? Okay, how about my screen? Is it on?
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, great. Let me just start. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, or good morning for those who are in the other part of the globe, or probably evening, okay, for the others. As Casey has mentioned, I'm Milen, so I'm part of the user success team, specifically supporting civil engineering solutions based in Singapore, okay, but I'm supporting most of the Southeast Asia countries. Okay, so for today, our session would be more into discussing how you can easily create road intersection that are intelligent, okay, in terms of using OpenRoads Designer, and then we'll be discussing these items as well. Like for instance, uh, just a quick note on the challenges that you guys are facing in terms of designing intersections, and then some of the basics of how you do corridor modeling, okay, inside OpenRoads Designer, and of course the techniques on how you can create intersections using templates as well as civil cells. And then on the latter part, we'll be moving on to some of the example deliverables that OpenRoads gives us in terms of your transportation project. So I see, based on the poll question, that most are really are in the transportation projects. Okay, so to start off, okay, taking in mind all those concerns and items that you have given us based on the poll questions, okay, of course, one of those difficult, okay, to model or design in terms of road design and modeling are intersections, as we have seen in the poll question. Okay, and roundabouts are also in a way considered as intersections. It's just that it's circular in its orientation. Okay, now what are those challenges? Some of those are already mentioned by, or you have already keyed it in the poll question. Okay, but basically we just want to reiterate on what are those other challenges. Okay, and as we've seen, okay, interchanges or intersections are quite unique in terms of the alignment. Okay, so that's why sometimes or most of the time, depending on the type of intersection you're designing, there could be uh, really a big complexity in terms of how you model it. Okay, and not to mention, of course, the existing ground condition from where you're creating those intersections, especially if the area is brownfield. Okay, meaning there are some existing under or above ground utilities that you have to consider, and of course, the unforeseen changes that we guys face every time we are in such project. Sometimes the hardware, as you mentioned, or even the software that we are using are not dynamic enough to adapt to the changes that are uh, are really not anticipated at the end. Okay, worse is if you realize them at the end of the design or the modeling. Okay, and of course, the coordination in terms of the designers, the engineers, the modelers, or the team member themselves. So how do they uh, uh, address some issues that they encounter, and we see that in most of our users currently, especially if, let's say, they don't have some engineering or document management system in their organization. It's pretty much hard for them to really handle those changes. Okay, and of course, concerning the lack of automation is doing still some manual 2D workflow. uh, Worst is they're using still some PDF in terms of reviewing their designs. Okay, and with this clashes that are or clashes are discovered later on in the design stage. And in the construction stage, this poses quite a lot of problems due to the inability to really see what is the real site condition. Okay, now as we move along with the presentation, we'll go through some of the basics of how OpenRoads Designer handles all these design and modeling of an intersection. Then afterwards, I'll go through the techniques on how you can model such a transportation facility. Okay, but before that, I would like to, for the benefit of those who maybe are new to Bentley or any virtuosity webinar for that matter. So I would just like to introduce what OpenRoads Designer is. So OpenRoads Designer is Bentley Systems roadway design and modeling solution or application, mainly, of course, focused on roadway design. Okay, but apart from the roadway design, it also or it is built using MicroStation as the CAD engine inside. And we also have some site modeling tools available in the software. And then, of course, all these common roadway design and modeling functionalities like terrain modeling, of course, alignment design, horizontal and vertical, and the heart and soul of the software, basically, I always say it whenever I do a presentation, is the corridor modeling. Okay, and in the corridor modeling, you'd only also include this new technology called civil cells, which is included in the presentation today. And then, of course, how you can come up with earthworks or quantities as well as reports, and of course, drawing deliverables such as drawing production, uh, plan profile sheets, and cross-section sheets, okay, including visualization. Okay, and apart from that, we also have a, a workflow that will allow you to add in drainage and utilities to your roadway or site design. And if you have to do some hydraulic or hydraulic calculation, we have StormCAD also built in inside the software. If you want to see the 3D render and integration of uh, your bore log or lithology database inside, we have Kin Civil tools, and of course survey functionalities. Okay, now when you are using OpenRoads Designer, okay, so typically you'll go through this process, okay, of building from a survey data or maybe reality models such as LiDAR data, point cloud data, and then you convert them into a terrain model, okay, and probably or not probably you would push it to the other stage, which is if you're doing land development type of projects, then you do site design. And if you are into really the roadway design and modeling, there is this corridor modeling tool. And as I mentioned earlier on, we have quite a lot of functionalities available so that you can also address those other disciplines that are directly integrated in roadway or highway design and modeling, which are here. Okay, but today I'll be focusing more on these things, okay, specifically corridor modeling, okay, but I would be focusing much on how templates, okay, are very much the backbone, okay, are the backbone of how you do your intersection modeling, regardless of what technique it is. So I've mentioned that I'm going to go through two techniques, and those two techniques will clearly rely on the template that you are using. Now, before I further discuss on the templates, let me just go through an overall requirements in terms of creating a corridor model, which is also typical of whatever software you are using. So of course, your terrain model, your geometry, be it horizontal or vertical, okay? And as I said, your template. So these three, okay, and utilizing, okay, and leveraging on the intelligent use of templates, okay, is very much the one that really dictates how easy or how dynamic your corridor model would be in your design and modeling. So regardless of what type, okay, although our concern today is more onto intersection, but regardless of what type of roadway or highway design you're dealing with, so the template is very much the backbone of how you do your modeling inside OpenRoads Designer. Okay, now let's move on to the techniques. As I've mentioned, we will discuss two. The first one is solely relying on your templates. Now, specific to templates are the linear, okay, as well as the surface template. Now, before I delve into using the linear template and the surface template in your intersection design, for the benefit of those who just seen OpenRoads Designer today, okay, or maybe contemplating on using it later on, okay, after this session, or you have a project that's starting, okay, and you are proposing an application or a solution to your organization as to what to use. So a template, okay, basically, okay, if you would uh, refer it to the other software, it's I think their terminology is assembly, okay, but basically this is a typical cross section, okay, of the road, okay, that you are designing. It's actually made up of points and components that represents the cross-sectional geometry of your roadway or even your railway. Okay, and it facilitates basically the creation of the 3D corridor model, as you can see here in the image, by extruding the template along the 3D geometry path. When I say 3D geometry path, that is your horizontal and vertical geometry. And what's good about using the template is that we have a built-in library already for you, and you can leverage on using all those examples, and it's also easily customizable if you would like it to adapt the uh, project, okay, conditions that you're doing right now. And it's saved in a library or template library, which is in an ITL file. Okay, now linear template, okay, is similar to what is the full, okay, because a while ago this one is a full, right, full roadway or railway template. But if you see here on the right side or even in the left side, okay, sometimes you may need to just do uh, a model, okay, of the grading on the outermost uh, boundary of your site or even your roadway. So from there, you may now be, you can now use what we call linear templates. Now, it could be as simple as this, like a curb, um, or maybe a curb and a gutter with a sidewalk, and even this green line that you see here is what we call end condition, or the cut or fill. Then there's also this surface template. So sometimes when you're modeling a terrain, okay, and then you have to add in a surface or a material to it, you would be using the surface template in order for you to define the material, the thickness of the pavement, okay? So that's where surface template comes in. Now, with all these concepts here that I have mentioned, I'll now move on to showing you how you can use the linear as well as surface templates when you're designing an intersection. Okay, I'll be going through a process of now the geometry is already given, okay, for the purpose of limiting the presentation, because we only have like 1 hour for the webinar. Okay, so I'll move on and design the island and medians, and then add in some pavement layers. Of course, using linear template, we'll be adding curb, gutter, sidewalk, as well as end condition, and then do some finishing touches on our corridor or intersection. So let me just open the application. Okay, this one. So this is OpenRoads Designer. Okay, as you can see, we have the interface for those who have seen it just today is pretty much ribbon based, and we have quite a number of workflow, as I've mentioned earlier on, that supports survey, geotechnical, reality modeling, and of course just the 2D and 3D drafting and adding in your drainage and utilities using this workflow. Okay, and what you can see right now is a view of the project that I'm going to create. So view 1 is basically the 2D view of the interchange, and then view number 2 is the 3D view, and then I have here ready the cross-section view of the corridor, so that you can see as I build the corridor, or as I build this intersection, you can also see how the pavements or the intersection is coming to a form in terms of the pavement thickness, and then the cut and fill that will happening on the ground. Now there's already one on the right side of the road here, but I'll be just focusing on this part here. Okay, now I've already placed some geometries, and how these are created, basically using the geometry tools of the software, horizontal and vertical. So as you see here, this geometries already have elevations or profiles assigned to it. As you can see here, there's an active profile already for all these geometries. So the only thing to do is just add in your templates so that you can finish off this intersection here. Okay, now as I mentioned, we'll be utilizing templates. Okay, so in this case, for the benefit of those who are new in the software, so this is one example of a typical template or cross-section of a road. Now, if I may just give you some background on this. So a template done in OpenRoads is pretty much dynamic and parametric, because depending on the edits that you would do, or maybe existing project settings that you have to follow, these points or red markers that you see here are parametric points defining width of the road as well as thickness of the pavement. So basically, these are the points, these are your components. Okay, so if I may just show you how this points behave. So like for instance, if later on you'd be adding super elevation to your road, okay, or maybe widening it. Let me just widening it to a certain width value. So you can see all the other components of the template follows as well. Okay, so it's pretty much dynamic. Now, our focus for today would be more on the interchange or intersection. So I'm just gonna open a template specific, a specific template for this webinar. Okay. Now I have here some linear templates already predefined. So linear templates basically would just follow a linear path so that it creates, let's say for instance, in this case, this would represent the curve of the islands later on. Then at the edge, on the edge of the road later, the cut and fill from the curb and gutter as well as the sidewalk. Okay, this is what we will apply. And then for the pavement of the intersection itself, we will be choosing some of this surface templates would basically add in, okay, pavements to the terrain that we have in the intersection. Okay, so with this, let me just move on to the tool. I'll go switch over to model detailing, and then let me first apply a linear template for the island as well as the median. Okay, let me do it here. Okay, now I will choose that particular template I need for the curve, which is this one. Okay, now I'm just going to move this a little so that you can see what's happening on the 3D here. Okay, accept everything as default. Of course, choosing the right template. Okay, and then making sure I'm applying it in the right side of my median. Okay, now if I zoom in here, this is the median. Okay, if I would look at the cross section so that you can see it, so our cross section is somewhere here. Okay, then you see here, this is now the curve. Okay, now let me do it again, this time for the islands. Okay, same template, which is this one. So I'm going to do it again and just lock it to the entire geometry and then apply that. And I'm not giving names anymore, just for the purpose of making this demonstration quite fast. Okay, you see it's now there. And then I'm going to do it again on this one. Lock it to start and end so that everything are in place. There you go. There. Okay. Now viewing that in the cross section. So let me just make sure I will or let's view it. Okay, there. You see now? So from here, so the cross sections that we are viewing right now is here. Okay, there. So if you notice, this is the island or the median, then the island, the north part, and then the south part is this one. Okay, but currently there's no surface or pavement that are in the islands and medians that we have just created. So with this, we'll now be moving on to creating or using a tool in terrain modeling so that we can use basically this one. Let's say I can use the, remember in the template, linear template, there are points, right? There are points. So those points actually generated this linear element. And then we will use this linear element to generate a terrain on top of the pavement or on top of the median. Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. So why am I doing this? So that I can have a terrain from where my surface template would be generating from. Oops, wait, let me just do it again. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, then boundary again. There you go. So you can do it in the 2D view as well as in the 3D view. I'm just doing it in the 3D so that you guys can clearly see how it's easily done here. Okay. Oh, let me do it again. Sorry. Okay. Then there you go. Now, if you look at the cross section, if I may just, so we have now the surface, but it has no pavement. Okay, so from here now we will move on to applying a surface template to one of these or to all of these. So apply surface template, and this time let's choose this which one? Yeah, let's just use this for the simplicity of the project. Okay, so I'm going to use concrete pavement aggregate base, and then I will select first the surface of this median here. Okay, then I'll just accept everything as default. Okay, then from there, notice the pavement has been applied. Okay, now I'm just using the cross-section view so that you can see how everything are being built. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for the islands. Okay, and then do it again here. Select. And looking at our cross-section, there you go. You see? Okay, great. Now the last thing, or the next, before we end the intersection here, is to generate a terrain out of the there's actually a terrain already. There's actually a terrain already. So if I will just select this, notice in the tooltip, this line here generated a terrain model already, although it's only showing the boundary. So what I'm gonna do next is generate a pavement, okay, out of this terrain model by using or applying again a surface template. Okay, on this. So let me just use the same surface template, and then there you go. Then from here, you now see the cross-section building up. Now to finalize this, although I'm not going to finish it all, I'm going to apply a linear template on this side of the road so that I can basically show you how the curb, gutter, sidewalk, as well as the cut and fill are done. So this time we'll do it using linear template. But let's make sure. Now I'm just gonna select it from my 2D so that I can properly select it. Okay, and then what linear template I'm gonna use this time, this one, so that you basically see how it cut and fill the existing ground. Okay, then start and just to make sure everything are applied properly. There you go. Okay, guys, you see? Now, okay. So basically, the process that happened here is, again, if I may just uh, show it to you, a linear template, okay, from this linear element, okay, representing the edge of the pavement, has generated a curb and gutter, sidewalk, okay, and then cut and fill targeting the existing ground, as you can see here. Now, I will not finish this, but I have like a ready made model already done, okay, basically showing you the finished model of the intersection, okay. So the other side was also done using that method, okay, but if you see there's no intricate medians or islands here, okay, but basically the principle is the same, okay. Then after that, if you see anything in terms of, let's say, clipping, there are boundaries that needs to be clipped, okay, we have some editing tools that will allow you to tidy up on to your tidy up your corridor. Okay, so the process that we've done, okay, using the linear and surface template are basically outlined here, okay, and of course the finishing touches, it just needs some skills in terms of using some of the editing tools of OpenRoads Designer. Okay, so you see how fast we created that particular intersection. Okay, now the next technique I would like us to, or I would like you to see, is basically using civil cells. Now, what are these civil cells? If you are a MicroStation user, and for those who have a little background on CAD, okay, cells is basically a MicroStation term, but in OpenRoads, okay, we've come up with a special cell, okay? But just to give us a quick recap on what cells are. So basically, these are synonymous to your blocks if you are using the other software. And in a CAD environment, you would usually use a cell or a block in order for you to depict 2D or 3D objects that you use repeatedly, okay? Like for instance, trees, even cars, traffic signs, lane markings, even your drainage inlets, doors and windows if you're dealing with architectural type of plans, annotation symbols, dimension symbols, of course your title blocks, and so on. Many items, okay? Now with OpenRoads Designer, we've leveraged on that particular technology by using or coming up with this called Civil Cell, with this very powerful tool, Civil Cell. From the cell itself, okay, being pre-configured, and then you just reuse and recycle, then that's how Civil Cell basically work. It's just that these are representations of any 2D or 3D geometric layouts for your commonly designed facilities in road, rail, or even site, okay, such as your curb ramps, medians, cul-de-sacs, roundabouts, and of course, intersection, and many more, okay? And it maintains the engineering or design intelligence when you place them. And it's very much customizable because you can really start from scratch in terms of creating it, okay? The limit is your imagination, basically. So whatever you can think of in terms of any road or rail or even site entities, you can model it using Civil Cell, okay? Of course, there are techniques or there are methods of creating them, but basically if you will see later on as we dig down into the Civil Cell, it still is utilizing linear templates, surface templates, and of course the geometries that we need in order to create a corridor. Because basically Civil Cells, when you use the 3D Civil Cells, those are basically corridors, okay? And what's good about uh, customizing or even utilizing what is inside the library of OpenRoads is you can store it in a library so that you can reuse it across multiple projects. So it's not like once you create, then it's not going to be, or you were not going to be able to use it in another project. You still can, okay, because you can save it in a library and reuse it. Okay, so the window that would allow you to pick on a particular Civil Cell is this one, but I will go through the application so that we can or I can show you what a Civil Cell basically is. Okay, now I have here of course OpenRoads Designer, okay, but I have some predefined geometries already that the Civil Cell would use as reference line. When you're designing your Civil Cell, it would still look for your alignments, okay, horizontal and vertical alignments. And then once you call in a Civil Cell, so basically this is where the tool is available from the model detailing tab of the OpenRoads modeling workflow. Okay, so this is it. So I've just set up some geometries. These are horizontal geometries with profiles already. Okay, and what I would be doing is just showing you how you can place it, and then later on I'll show you how you place it in a real project. So calling in the command, okay, and then looking at the pick Civil Cell window. So as I mentioned, you can create or utilize whatever in the library. If you would see here, there are different types of Civil Cells available for connector roads, cul-de-sacs, even curb ramps, um, interchange entrances, even the interchange ramps, turn lanes are available here. the medians that we created, actually there are ways for you to do it using Civil Cell as well. And then I have one example later on showing you how Civil Cell is used in a roundabout design. Because basically roundabouts, as I mentioned, is also an intersection, okay? But for today, I'll just gonna go and utilize the basic T type of Civil Cell for us to model our interchange or intersection later on. So I'm gonna use this, okay? Now, once you call in that, you have to select maybe lines or geometries that are in your model. So for instance, road edge of pavement, okay, like this one, and then I'll click the center line of maybe my secondary road, okay. And then once that is done, depending on how one has created the Civil Cell, he can have different alternatives as to how he would place it. Okay, you see how it adapts to where I click, but I will just accept this alternative here, and then I don't have any corridor to clip, so hence I'll just accept this as it is. Okay, so once it's done, you just place it like that. Now this is 3D already. Let me just show you. There you go. Okay, so I just triggered the 3D view, okay, of this Civil Cell that I have placed. Then let me just rotate this a little bit so that you can see that it is indeed 3D. Okay, and isn't it quite familiar? This is basically a linear template. Okay, and then of course a surface template. So when this Civil Cell was created, it actually utilized the same concept as what I've shown you a while ago. Okay, but then you save it in a library so that all you need to do is just literally drag and drop it. Okay, now what's good about the Civil Cells, once you place them, okay, once you place them, you can change the geometric values or the geometry, okay, without affecting the original library. Okay, like for instance, I changed the curve radius, and then I would change the width of the road on this side. Okay, so notice how it automatically updates in the 3D. Okay, and if for instance, let's say for instance, you decided not to use this kind of template, okay, that will cut and fill the ground, no need to redo the process of placing it. All you need to do is just go and look at the properties and then maybe change the template or the linear template that was used in here. So like for instance, I want to remove this. So I'm now in this mode wherein I'd be able to remove the original linear template and then automatically adapts to my model. Okay, and if you would like to use another type, okay, all you need to do is just click and choose another type of curve and gutter with an end condition, and then there you go. Okay, so the original template from the library is not at all affected because you've already placed it here. Okay, and in the list of the items of the objects that you are modeling, so you can see them, okay, and look at the properties of how. Okay, now looking at it, it's very simple, right? But if you would look at the properties, there's so many things that are going on in the background of the software basically. Okay, but don't let this be or this hinder you from adapting it, because we already have some predefined uh, templates, okay, or Civil Cells in the library. So don't let this be a hindrance for you in terms of how you guys can use it. Okay. And apart from that, anytime you wish to change some of the pavement properties, okay, or even how it utilizes some of the corridor editing tools, you'd be able to modify them. Okay, so this is, and anytime, okay, to address all those changes that will come in later on in your design, okay? So civil cells are pretty much dynamic because even though your alignment changes, okay, this would not be affected at all, or the civil cells would not be affected at all. So all you need to do is just make sure you utilize the right reference, and then you're good to go. Okay. Now, for an example, okay, of a project done using civil cell, so I have this one file here. Actually, this cul-de-sac here was also placed using civil cell, okay, because we also have some civil cells available representing the cul-de-sac. So I would like to just show you how automatically an intersection can be created by utilizing civil cell. Again, going through the same process, okay, using the same basic T-urban type, okay, then since I have a corridor already placed, you have to make sure you identify the right linear element that your civil cell would reference. So in this case, I need the EOPL. If you notice, there's a point here named EOPL. So basically representing the edge of pavement on the left side of the corridor of this one. So I need to select that, and then select this center line of this road here. Okay. Now pay attention to the view number 2, which would give us the 3D view. Okay. So I will just accept this alternative here because I want to place it here. And then before I accept everything, I need to make sure I will select the corridor that has to be clipped. Okay, the corridor that has to update in order for me to properly place or create the intersection. Okay, so let me just accept that. And okay, let's wait a bit. Okay, it's processing on the background. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay, now no more edits to be done on this corridor because of the process, you are now given an automatic way of clipping this corridor. Okay, now for just the purpose of viewing it properly, so let me just change this to transparent so that you can really see that this corridor has really been clipped. Okay, and then one last step to finalize this T-junction or T-intersection here is I will just literally drag the other corridor and then tie it to the civil cell. Right? Are we good? There you go. So just as quick as that, we have managed to really model this intersection. Okay. Now, going back, as I mentioned, a roundabout is also considered as an intersection. So using the civil cell tool, although this video here I'm showing is like an accelerated video that really took around 20 to 30 minutes, but it shows you how civil cells are being leveraged in terms of designing a roundabout. Okay. So of course, as I've mentioned, civil cells needs reference lines, your geometries that has profiles or elevation, okay? Once you have already applied or placed the center of your roundabout, you now can use civil cells that depicts the approach road. In this case, the first one is done, then we have another one on this side. Okay. There. Now, this video, apart from using civil cell, would also be using linear templates alongside with designing or in the designing of this corridor. Okay, so you see here on this part wherein there's no road or approach road anymore, a linear template this time was applied in order to finalize this portion of the roundabout. There. Then some minor edits. Maybe you don't want to use the linear template as I've shown you a while ago. If you have to remove it, you just need to call in some of the template drop editing tools of OpenRoads, and then edit and remove whatever you need, and then edit on some of the width of the road, okay, going through or going out of the main circle or island of the roundabout. Okay, then minor edits as to how it needs to clip properly for each of the linear templates that are applied. Okay, and we are working on a multi-user environment from where ProjectWise was used. So we reference a terrain model and then activate it. As soon as you activate the terrain model, the end conditions of the linear template that was applied will automatically target the existing ground, as you can see here. Okay, and then minor edits on the islands if need be. Okay, so that's it. And of course, there are some civil cells also available in order for you to add in ramps, okay, to your roads. This civil cell is also available in the library. Now, I'm not gonna finish this, okay, since we have a few minutes left in the presentation. Okay, there. Now, once your intersection model is done, and even your corridor model itself, okay, you now can go on and move to the next phase of maybe generating the finished grade, coming up with the earthworks or quantities, adding in lane markings or street furnitures, adding in your drainage and utilities, and of course generating your sheets, okay, and maybe output a visualization or other deliverables. Okay, now how do you do or generate a finished grade out of your corridor? There are lots of techniques to do that. Okay, one of them is by using some graphical filters. So this finished roundabout here needs, more or less, you need to know if the flow lines or water flow lines are okay or based on the design. So that's why you need to generate terrain out of it, and then based on the style of the template, you can turn on, turn off some flow arrows so that you can basically know as if your design is good enough for to consider some of the ponding or flooding that's happening in the road that you are designing. Okay, and of course volumes calculation and reports are a click of a button in OpenRoads Designer. As soon as you're done with your corridor, there's a tool that will allow you to calculate for the cut and fill, okay, and then view them in a report. And utilizing the drainage and utilities tools, you'd be able to lay out some of your common drainage, stormwater, or even existing telco networks, water networks. Okay, so in this case, I'm just showing you a sample of a drainage network laid out on this sample road here. Okay, and of course, drawing production. It's just also a click of a button in the software, but I think you know how do you also need to more or less use some what we call drawing seed, but basically these are your title blocks and then your annotations that are automated, okay, when you are generating the sheet. So samples of that, like a plan and together with the profile and also a cross-section sheet. Okay, so all inside the drawing production tool of OpenRoads Designer. Then at some point, maybe you need to check on your design as you are doing your modeling. Okay, so we have a drive-through tool that will allow you to manually visualize how your design looks like, and visually inspect how you did your intersection by just using the 3D drive-through tool of the software. Of course, we have other tools like your fly-through, walk-through. That's pretty much built in the software, because these are your 3D, okay, navigation tools. Then if there's a need for you to create a nice visualization of your project, you can output your design to LumenRT, which comes for free, okay, in the software, so that you can create a sample visualization like this. Okay, so all you need to do is just finish the model, export it by clicking that particular button, and everything would uh, and you would now be in the interface of LumenRT, and then you can just add in some of your trees, cars, and other animation that you need. Okay, now as for the other things that you have to add, of course, your lane markings, your guardrails or barriers, or even integrating some models, okay, like in this case, a pedestrian bridge. So all these are done basically by just using some of the referencing tools, okay, so that whenever you're doing collaboration with your team, everyone gets to know if they're using the right version of the software. And if someone is still editing it, or you have to update, okay, your model, and this would become very seamless if you guys are using ProjectWise, and if you would be leveraging on the digital twin technology of Bentley system, which is the iTwin hub, then you'd also be able to make sure that the effective collaboration is addressed in terms of your delivery of the project. Okay, so that's all I want to present, Casey, and I do hope uh, everyone has more or less has seen how powerful OpenRoads Designer is in terms of modeling intersection. Okay. Now, as I said, intersection is just one of those many roadway or highway facilities that OpenRoads can model. Okay. It can also do site modeling and interchange. Of course, adding in bridge models, you can also do that in the software. Okay, so that's it. I think we can open the floor to questions. Casey, do you have any question?
Yes, we have a few. First of all, I think I should thank you for the wonderful demo on the intersection design using OpenRoads Designer. I hope the participant would see the benefit of using OpenRoads Silver Cell in their design, because as Malin has demonstrated, it is a very quick way for you to get your design up. And also, if you have any changes, things can be modified very quickly. So yeah, I guess we can move into the question. But before that, if you have to the participant, if you have anything that you would like to ask, please type in the chat box so that we can address it when it comes to you. Yeah, so we have actually some questions coming from the floor. The first one
Mhm.
would be, is there a template applicable in Singapore, for example, from LTA's SDRE standards?
Um, Good question. Okay, so we're actually building the Singapore data set every now and then. Okay, and we are adding those stuffs every now and then. But looking at this, oh sorry, uh, we have added some already. Okay, we have added some already, but it's wait, let me just templates. Yeah. Wait. Anyway, I think I have the wrong ITL file here. But if you would look here, actually, we are building the Singapore data set. I'm just using the work in progress version, but we are adding up with I mean, we are adding up some of those templates, okay, and we also work with some of the consultants to be able to tell us what else to add. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you have our email address, so please reach out to us if you think that some features should be added into the dataset.
Yep.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. Next question. I think this one pops up during the demo of your first model. So she's
Mm-hmm.
saying the island have to be in horizontal geometry and not just applied to the layout plan line element. Um, yeah, do you recall what you did in the first demo?
Okay, wait, let me just go
Yeah.
back. Okay, so as I mentioned, before you use the linear template, the geometries has to be in place already, and these geometries has to have a a profile, meaning an elevation assigned to it. So it's not really just a horizontal alignment. Okay, so it has an elevation. It has an elevation. If I may just wait, hopefully I can grab onto yeah, this one. If I may just show it to you, it has a profile there. See, this is the terrain, then this is your profile. Okay, so the reason why we can see it in the 3D is because it has an elevation. Okay, so it's not really just a horizontal object. I hope that addressed the question.
Okay, yeah. I think we know who this is, so probably we can reach out to
Yeah.
her. Yeah, to discuss this in detail. So okay, maybe we move on to the next one. Um, how do we apply road marking onto the surface created?
For the road marking, there are actually quite a few technique for you to do that. Okay. First technique, which is quite CAD based, is uh, after you've done your corridor. Okay. After you've done your corridor, you reference. Okay, more or less you reference a 2D DGN that has the lane markings, and then using MicroStation stencil tool, okay, using this MicroStation stencil tool, you are literally draping it on top of the pavement, okay, of the corridor. So that's one way. Another way, which is basically used here, is by using uh, what we call feature definition for the geometries, and then um, assigning there is basically um, a line style, okay, that is referenced by the civil property or the civil definition or feature definition, so that it looks like this already. We would recommend this method because whenever there's changes or updates in the geometry, the pavement markings would update as well. Since lane markings should be following the orientation of the road, okay, depending on how it was laid out. So if you would like, as a us to show it to you how it's done, okay, you can just let us know so that we can demonstrate it to you. But as I said, there are two ways that that was used: the CAD way or the ORD way, which is leveraging on the intelligent uh, geometry feature definitions of the linear elements. Okay, so I do hope that address the question.
All right. Thanks,
So,
Milan. Yeah, before I move
mhm,
on to the other question, I'd like to point out to all the participants, not to worry, the session is recorded.
mhm.
So after this, I will send an email out with the recording once it's edited to everyone who attended. So no worries about the recording. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, the next question is, does the software allow user to import export some 3D modeling model from software such as SketchUp, etc.?
In terms of those, we have some import tools here for common type file formats like DWG, other GIS formats, and then for that kind of modeling format, we have this. Okay, SketchUp.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. The next question. This one is the software supported for Mac operating system.
Um, Unfortunately, okay, you have to have. I think the term they call it is the boot. What do you call that? You have to have the micro the what do you call this, boot
Emulator, is
camp
it?
something. Yeah,
Oh.
something like that, because it's Microsoft based. uh,
Hmm. Okay.
so those we haven't really released a version for Mac, but you'd be able to install by utilizing the boot camp. I'm not too sure if I'm using the right terminology, but there is a way for you to install a Microsoft-based application in Mac, right? Mm.
Okay, Ken. Maybe we'll revisit this person after the webinar. Okay.
Mhm,
All
mhm.
right. Next question is, do we have a data set for Malaysia?
We have actually released the Malaysia dataset just last week. You can just go to the downloads, if I may, if wait, let me just try and if you have an access to the Bentley Connect website, um, you can still see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so just go to the connectbentley.com, then the download, software downloads, uh, and just choose, of course, OpenRoads, and then change this to dataset, then apply. There you go. We just released it this October 14 as we speak.
Hmm. Yeah, if not wrong,
Yeah,
this
and
is, sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
for the person or even the group of people who's asking, we want you to test it out so that you can give us your feedback if there are things that has to be updated or improved. Okay. Yeah, Casey.
Okay. We actually did a workshop for that, I think 2 months
Mm.
back. So probably I'll send the
Mhm.
recording to you so that you can see how you can apply it to your OpenRoads design. Okay. All right, next question. Can this be used for a runway project?
Yeah, because if you would go back to the concept of the template, right? Um, it's basically a runway is also like a road. So all you need to do is just probably customize a bit of your template to depict that runway, and then you should be having some geometries, right? Geometries, uh, that the template would follow. Okay, so maybe your template would be more wider than this, and then the components or the pavements would be a bit different. But it, yeah, it can be used, sir.
Okay. Yeah, let's move
Mhm.
on. Is it possible to show changes in alignment in the software? For example, if you want to show the to be removed alignment together with the proposed alignment.
Oh,
So that means a remove.
um, um, yeah, there are ways actually to do that. Okay, if you would be just because it's actually considered as more or less like a design review workflow already, right? So what you can do is maybe just lay out what is to be removed or the new ones, right? And then in your corridor properties, instead of okay, because there are ways for you to view what are those uh, alignments or even the templates that are referenced by your corridor. Then you just need to refresh your corridor and update it. Okay, but as to how you mark it, it's considered as a design review type of workflow. So we have that kind of workflow in the iTwin. Wait, let me just, where is it? iTwin way of doing it. Where is it? Wait, um, anyway, it's gonna leverage on the iTwin technology or digital twin technology, and we have a design review, iTwin design review, that will allow you to collaborate with your other team members. But of course, you have to have an access to the iTwin or digital twin hub of Menti systems for you to be able to do it. I'm just looking for that particular iTwin synchronizer that uh, yeah, this one, the iTwin. We have some collaboration tools here that would allow you to do some effective type of collaboration by using our ProjectWise technology, our iTwin technology, and so on. And that interface will also show you uh, or you can highlight, okay, in the interface, in the digital twin interface, objects that are removed, objects that are edited or being modified, and objects that are new. But again, it's in the interface of the iTwin, not directly here. Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Next question is, can the center line median alignment be draped to the surface pavement?
Can the center median alignment be draped to the there are tools in the vertical geometry tools that would allow you that, maybe profile from surface or quick profile from surface. Okay, so all you need to do is just lay out your geometry, right? Lay out your geometry and then profile them according to the surface of the or the terrain or even the corridor. Okay, this tool here. Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think next question, oh, this is for me. What are the supports
Mm-hmm.
available? Are these chargeable, such as civil cell creation, training, and on-job support? For this, I would need to know whether if you have any of our license or are you subscribing to any of our commercial offering. But if you don't have, like I mentioned earlier in the session, you can subscribe to our annual OpenRoads license, and then it will include hours for you to use for this customized training as well as support. So yeah, probably I will need to revisit this with you after the session. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. There's another question. Can we also use Silver Cell on modeling grid separated interchange?
What type of interchange again? I
Uh,
cannot see the
Grid
question.
separated. That means like there's a
Grade
bridge,
separated.
yeah, or flyover.
Yeah, but of course it depends on, you have to, because when you're looking or when you're creating or utilizing the civil cells, right? You have to look at the uh, available civil cells in the library if it's applicable to that particular type, okay? But you can create your own. As I mentioned, you can customize it, okay? It just needs some understanding on, again, going back, geometry, template, and corridor, okay? And how it targets your ground. But basically, there's no limit as to what you can create, okay, in terms of the type of civil cell. Mhm. But I'm not too sure as to if it's available here, but I think if I may just uh, look at the available ones, okay. We have some things for interchange, which are ramps. In although there's not much for the bridge type, okay. But yeah, as I mentioned, you can. The limit is really your imagination.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on. I think there's a question asking about is it possible to create a report that shows the slope gradients in the model?
Slope gradients.
Yeah.
Slope gradients in the model. For the reports, we have quite a lot of type of reports available. Uh, but for that one, I think it depends on the on the workflow that you're doing. But basically, if I may just, what is that? I'm just looking for my file that has the report already generated. Okay, I think this is it. Okay. Mhm. But yeah, it's more of just probably a cut and fill type of report. But we have some customized types already available for you. Wait, where is that? Okay, I just want to show a sample of that kind of report. Sorry, I have so many instances of the software running. That's why it's a bit, it's getting a bit slow. So like for instance, this one, there's a sample screenshot of that one is more on the cut and fill of the entire road, but this would also include the slopes. Okay, so all you need to do is just run the a specific report. Oh, wait, this one. Okay. Um, okay. I don't have the ready, okay? But if you see here, there are so many types of reports available. So these are just the quantities based on the boundary, which is the entire corridor. Then we have lots of these types as well. And then if you are, although there, you see there's so many types, okay? There, okay? I do hope that addresses the question. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Probably we can reach out to her after the session again to
Mm-mm,
understand more in detail on what she wants.
mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all for the question. Yeah, lots of it, and yeah, thank you for asking because yeah, if you are asking, that means you are really paying attention to what Milan was showing. So we really appreciate that
Yeah.
a lot. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So Milan, I'm gonna take over the screen now.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Okay. Um, just a moment. So, yeah, okay. Thanks again for being with us throughout the webinar. As we mentioned earlier, if you have any question regarding technical or commercial on the use of OpenRoads Designer, please reach out to us on the email on the screen. Don't worry about this because after probably a few days, once I get the video process, I'm going to send out the recordings to everyone. So if you have any question that comes to your mind by that time, you can just yeah, email back to us with your questions. And before we go, I would like to highlight that we'll have our annual year in infrastructure event, which will be happening on 1st and 2nd December virtually. So this is actually an event where our users would compete with their unique design of their respective categories, and the winner would get to feature in our publications. So as for yourself, you can learn on how this user of our software complete their complex project using yeah, probably just one or multiple products of ours. So to sign up, please visit yii.bentley.com, and the registration is free. Okay. So yeah, we have come to the end of our webinar, and I hope you can fill in the questionnaire after the event. So we hope to see you again in the next event. So take care, everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.